What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, March 4th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:53 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert again. They were on high alert this past weekend and over the last 2 weeks. And today we have a presidential doomsday plane in the air. We have three nuclear war command and control planes in the air. We have a B 52 nuclear bomber in the air. And we also have a Cobra Ball missile detector plane in the air. Okay. And that's probably one of the most interesting planes in the air today is the Cobra Ball that's currently looping over North Dakota. And why that's interesting is because a couple of days ago, it was announced that the U.S. is going to be testing a hypersonic weapon over the Pacific. They're going to release this hypersonic weapon from a B 52. But I find the timing of this very interesting that suddenly the U.S. decided to test a hypersonic weapon. Obviously, it's a show of force to Russia and other enemies of the US, but want to just show you guys some of the flight paths here. So you can see one nuclear war command and control plane is out in the Pacific right now. We have two looping over the Midwest, and then we have that presidential doomsday plane. It just took off from Strategic Command not too long ago. Here's another look. Okay, you can see the doomsday plane is currently over Illinois, and the B 52 is over Oklahoma. And here's a closer look at the B 52. And here we have a closer look at the nuclear war command and control planes plus the presidential doomsday plane. And what's interesting is one of these nuclear war command and control planes is doing loops over Nebraska, which means that it's dropping its trailing wire antenna and it's actually sending out messages. So very, very interesting. And these planes are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear armed submarines. So during a nuclear war, these planes would be in the air and our military would be using them as basically a flying antenna. And they can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs from the air if there was an issue with launching them from the ground for whatever reason. I want to remind you guys that there were some Russian sources claiming that F 16s and F 35s from Romania flew into southern Ukraine over the weekend and they were practicing some type of a bombing run. Or I couldn't verify this with any other sources, but I find it very interesting that U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert today. And this news came out yesterday. And then, of course, on Friday, we had that huge news come out from Germany when the German top Air Force officials were discussing how they could use Taurus missiles to destroy the Crimean Bridge. And the Russians were able to somehow obtain a recording of these German officials talking about that on WebEx. Okay, so we can now assume that the German military has been compromised by Russian hackers. And I'm sure there's going to be more conversations like that leaked when it's advantageous for Russia to do so. But obviously, they didn't just obtain that one conversation, they probably hacked all levels of the German military. Okay. But it also shows a lot of unprofessionalism by the German military for them to be discussing something that sensitive over an unsecure platform like WebEx and even WhatsApp. I mean, that is just crazy. Something like that you discuss only in person, okay? And you make sure that where you're discussing that doesn't have any bugs anywhere, okay? So this is very serious, guys. The situation with the German officials is very, very serious. Before I continue, I just want to ask you guys to pray for some people we have John and his wife Joyce. These are subscribers of mine, and apparently John is having a lot of anxiety because his wife Joyce was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer last year. She had some surgeries, she had chemotherapy. So please pray for John and Joyce. Also, if you guys could pray for one of our moderators here. She goes by the name of Mama of Six, and she came down with pneumonia a couple of days ago. So keep her in your prayers, please. We have some breaking news coming from Barksdale Air Force Base. So it looks like the U.S. is building a new nuclear weapons storage and handling facility. And Barksdale Air Force Base is the home of Air Force Global Strike Command, or the air leg of our nuclear triad. That's where the air leg of our nuclear triad is based out of. Okay. So it's a very, very important base. And they're now going to be building a nuclear weapons storage facility there. They currently have one in Minot. Okay. But based on these satellite photos over the last 3 years, you can see that they started building this storage facility. So this is another sign that the U.S. is preparing for nuclear war. Okay, a couple of months ago, we had evidence that the U.S. was up-arming their ICBMs, their Minuteman III ICBMs. They did a test last summer with ICBM that had 3 dummy warheads on it, and according to the START treaty, they're only supposed to have 1. And then there was also video footage that came out of North Dakota showing these massive trucks moving towards Minot. And apparently there were nuclear weapons in those trucks. They were being escorted by military police. So now the U.S. is building another nuclear weapons storage facility for their bombers. Okay. This is where we keep some of our bombers: Minot, Barksdale, Dyess Air Force Base, Ellsworth. Those are some of the main bomber bases. And then, of course, you have Whiteman, where the B-2s are. Okay. So currently, we keep all of our nuclear weapons for the bombers up in Minot. And now they want to expand and have another storage site in Barksdale. So they have 2. Okay. Um, and these nuclear weapons are the air-launched cruise missiles, the AGM-86 air-launched cruise missiles, and they have a 2,000-mile range, and they have the W-80 warhead on the end of them. Okay, so normally they keep them all in Minot. Now they want to base them in Barksdale. So this is huge, guys. And of course, like I said, this is the headquarters for the air leg of our nuclear triad. So very, very interesting. And here we have a picture showing the NOTAM near the Kwajalein Atoll. This is where the hypersonic weapon is going to be tested. Apparently, they're going to use a B-52 to release it. And here we have a picture of a U.S. M1 Abrams tank that got destroyed near Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine. It ran over an anti-tank mine, and you can see its track is laying here. And apparently the Russians finished it off with some drones, some suicide drones. And over the weekend, we had a lot of GPS jamming over Poland and Estonia. Here we have all the GPS jamming on Sunday, and you can see a good chunk of Estonia and good chunk of Poland experiencing high GPS interference. Also, the Baltic Sea experiencing a lot of GPS interference, including southern Sweden. And on Saturday, there was a massive amount of GPS interference in Estonia and Poland, obviously coming from Russia. And we had a massive amount of reconnaissance activity over Poland and the Baltics last night. Here we have a U.S. RC-135 rivet joint that was patrolling in northeastern Poland and around Kaliningrad. We had a Latvian border guard helicopter patrolling the Latvian border with Russia and Belarus. And what's interesting here is that the Estonians were really focusing around the Narva area. So there must be some kind of buildup of Russian forces on the other side of the border here. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that. And here we have a UK RC-135 rivet joint reconnaissance plane that went all the way up to northern Finland, did a few loops near the Kola Peninsula, and then it went all the way back down through the Suwalki Gap, and it flew along the border with Belarus. So lots of reconnaissance going on in Poland and Eastern Europe. Here we have a P-8 Poseidon that was patrolling off the coast of Kaliningrad doing loops. And here we have an E-3 Sentry AWACS plane that was patrolling northern Norway. And we also have a P-8 Poseidon here that was flying near Murmansk, Russia. That's where Russia has 2/3 of their nuclear-armed submarines. Their northern fleet is based over there, so that P-8 was keeping an eye on the Russian subs there. And then the AWACS. So, guys, NATO is preparing for war. So is Russia, okay? So get prepared. Okay, the writing is on the wall. Here we had some Belgian and Canadian military transport planes that went to southeastern Poland, probably have ammunition and equipment for Ukraine. And we had a massive amount of reconnaissance over the Korean Peninsula last night. Here we have an RQ-4 Global Hawk that was patrolling along the border with North Korea. And here we have multiple U.S. military VIP planes that left from South Korea and went to Okinawa. Check this out. We had a U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Air Force, and 2 U.S. Navy VIP planes. Okay, so very, very interesting. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And the Supreme Court has ruled today that Trump will appear on the ballot in Colorado. And Bloomberg data is showing that Trump is set to sweep the electoral map in a landslide tomorrow on Super Tuesday. And a military object reportedly fell on Polish territory. Polish police are saying it was a weather balloon right now. I'm going to research that more and update you guys on that later on this evening in my second update. And the German ambassador to Russia has been summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry today, obviously because of that leaked conversation about the tourist missile strike on the Crimean Bridge. And the Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz just arrived at the White House, probably going to talk about Rafah and probably Lebanon and Hezbollah. And senior White House advisor on Israel, Amos Hochstein, arrived in Beirut earlier this morning for meetings with several Lebanese government and military officials regarding the war in Gaza, as well as the possibility of military action in southern Lebanon. So Amos Hochstein is the guy that Biden appointed to prevent a war in Lebanon, okay? So he's in Lebanon right now trying to basically work out some kind of a deal possibly with the Lebanese government and maybe even Hezbollah Okay, but this is a sign that Israel is preparing to go into Lebanon. Okay, just a few days ago, I think it was Saturday, I reported that the Israeli special forces tried to enter Lebanon but were pushed back by Hezbollah. So, that was definitely a probing attack. So Israel is preparing to go in. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when Israel does go into Lebanon, things are really going to escalate in the Middle East, because you're going to have the IRGC, the Iranian proxies, start to attack Israel. You're going to see the Houthis step up their attacks. You're going to see terror attacks within Israel. Okay, all the sleeper cells in Israel are going to be activated. And also here in the U.S., we could see terror attacks as well. Okay, so get prepared. A large number of high ranking military officials in the ranks of the Israeli army's spokesperson unit, led by Rear Admiral Hagari, have resigned, according to Israeli Channel 14. Reason is the protest by officers against the conduct of operational and personal matters. And so they're saying that this is likely related to the halting of a ground operation against Hezbollah. That's just one theory, okay? But Daniel Hagari resigning along with several of his allies in the Israeli army's spokesperson unit. And a U.S. Embassy employee in Israel was found dead in his apartment in Jerusalem. The U.S. Embassy released a statement saying, "We can confirm the death of an American employee of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. It is not the U.S. ambassador. Foul play is not suspected. We have no further details to share." I'm not sure I believe that, but okay. Law enforcement officers in Texas are now authorized to arrest and jail any illegal immigrants crossing the border on orders from Governor Greg Abbott. And the South Korean armed forces have reportedly been ordered to a high state of readiness due to possible provocations by North Korea caused by Exercise Freedom Shield, an annual joint exercise with the U.S., which began earlier yesterday and will last for 11 days until March 14th, involving at least 48 field training drills, which include both tactical and strategic bombing, live fire of armored vehicles, artillery, and this is the largest annual military exercise for South Korea. So this is huge, guys. Okay, so we have to be on high alert for that. The situation at the Polish border has long gone too far, both economically and morally, President Vladimir Zelensky said in his Sunday evening address. It is necessary to finally find a solution to the situation on the Polish border, which has long gone beyond any limits of both economics and morality. It is impossible to explain how the difficulties that a bleeding country is going through can be used in a domestic political struggle, but we will overcome this. I am confident that Ukraine is able to withstand the pressure, achieve its goals, and defeat Russian terror. Together, we can ensure this. So that's like the first time Zelensky has actually called out Poland in one of his addresses. And NATO member Albania, which has no fighter jets of its own, opened a rebuilt Soviet era airbase to serve NATO aircraft on Monday amid an increased threat from Russia. Prime Minister Ida Rama said NATO has spent over 50 million euros on the Kukova airbase to bolster its presence in the region. Airspace in the Adriatic country of Albania, which borders Greece to the south and Montenegro to the north, is protected by Italy and Greece. This is a base that will add another element of security for our Western Balkans region, which we all know that it is a region endangered from the threat and neo-imperialist ambitions of the Russian Federation, Rama said during the inauguration. Two fighter jets flying from NATO's Aviano Air Base in Italy landed in Kukova to mark the reopening of the airfield. The airbase is located in the small town of Kukova, once known as Stalin City, when Soviet and Chinese-made MiGs were on standby for orders to scramble in the case of a war with the West that never arrived. The likely targets then were Austria, Germany, Italy, and Denmark, Rama said. Okay, so Albania opening up this huge base that is formerly a Soviet air base and it cost over 50 million euros to renovate. Okay, so NATO is expanding their presence in Eastern Europe. Okay, and they're expanding because they're anticipating a showdown with Russia. And we currently have the Nordic response drill in Scandinavia going on right now. Okay, so NATO is training in northern Scandinavia. We moved 2 B-1 bombers to northern Sweden a week and a half ago. And we just finished a massive exercise in Poland with 30,000 troops. Okay, so NATO's getting prepared for a worst case scenario. The IDF says it struck a Hezbollah compound where members of the terror group were gathered in the southern Lebanon town of Chehin. And also, they struck a site in Aitash Shab, also in southern Lebanon. And the Ukrainian Main Directorate of Intelligence confirms that the railroad bridge over the Chapayevka River in the Samara region of Russia has been blown up, and the bridge has been used to transport military supplies in the past from the east to the front in Ukraine. So that's some of the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on this evening with more breaking news, but U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert today. I will provide an update on them later on tonight, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these videos. And a lot of people have been saying that they haven't been getting notified when I post my videos. Don't rely on the notifications and don't rely on suggested videos. Just type in my name, NYPrepper, in the search bar and find my channel and check and see if I've posted anything. I usually post 2 updates a day. Okay. So if you haven't seen a video from me in 12 hours or 24 hours, then check my channel. But we have this Nordic response drill going on in northern Scandinavia. We have the exercise in Poland right now, 30,000 troops there. And then we have the exercise in South Korea. So a lot of exercises all at the same time. GPS jamming in the Baltics and Poland. Massive amounts of reconnaissance there as well. Doomsday planes, nuclear war planes. So get prepared. Things are escalating. I do believe that Russia is going to try to launch some kind of big counterattack this summer. We also have Ukraine about to receive their F-16s. And if they get those Taurus missiles, we might see the Crimean Bridge blown up this summer. Okay, we had that leaked conversation with the German Air Force officials talking about how they would blow up the Crimean Bridge, and they said that they could train the Ukrainians within 3 to 4 weeks to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm really concerned about something happening this summer, something huge. Okay, especially if it looks like Trump is going to win. We had that new poll come out over the weekend showing Trump 5% ahead of Biden. Okay, Putin said himself that he prefers Biden over Trump. So if it looks like Trump is going to win, I think Putin is going to make his big moves, okay, and maybe other countries as well. All right. So that's the latest information that I have. I'll see you guys later on tonight. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.